Rowdy, we are just about live, I think. Just making sure I come up live on the, YouTubes and the Rumbles and Bumble. Is that even a thing? Always got to click on that button. And we are now hereby officially live. We're going to open up the pop-out chat so that we can, highlight people's messages. And to do that, we're going to the stream, or just save that. Okay, I want to test this out because getting YouTube chat is always a little of a game here. I have an exotic little plugin. Well, just uses desktop capture and chroma key or color key. And then I select the correct window. And then when I click on a chat, that happens. So that's good. We want that. So hopefully that cooperates. My other issue is when I'm using the chat window, the item comes up on the bottom here. But once messages pile up, the scroll bar doesn't always advance itself automatically, which is kind of annoying. Might have to look for a different solution, maybe get one of those Stream Elements bots. But I want to shout out, that's not the right channel. I was going to shout out a channel, but they must have two channels because the one I was just about to copy and paste is not it. But you know what? If my #1 Rumble viewer comes into the chat, I will click on their channel because I really wanted to share their channel, but this is a blank channel right now. Just making reference to our friend Spock, friend of the channel. But anyway, we are going to now just do one more thing. We're going to open up the Rumble chat. And whoops, sorry about that. Let's see here. Last thing. Yeah, I think we got all of the chat windows up. Oh, Brandon, the anime guy might be on. Oh no, that's a different guy. Sorry, I'm looking at my little screen. So what are we doing today? Well, I don't know. I just wanted to get a stream out because I haven't done a stream in a week. And wrong window. And I got to do some editing anyway, so maybe we kill two birds with one stone. Now, I did record a video yesterday about phone cases, but we don't actually need, we can use a different video for that. We can record a brand new one if we want. But we're going to go into my OBS recordings and see what we can turn up because I was doing some experimentation and I think this might be of interest to other users. In regard to the experimentation I've been doing, it is basically involving video codecs and editing software. As it turns out, DaVinci Resolve did not support every video codec that I thought it would support. I mean, actually, in particular, the free version, DaVinci Resolve, as opposed to the studio version, which is their paid edition, the free version does not support 60 frames a second HEVIC at 10-bit. I think it's really the 10-bit color in the HEVIC codec, HEVIC being anything that's like X or H265. So, for example, if we popped into OBS and went to settings, you would see a setting under output, under recording, if you're recording, and we're using the advanced mode so that we have more settings at our disposal. And down here you'll see I'm presently using a constant bitrate as opposed to a quality factor or rate factor or variable bitrate. We're certainly not using a lossless codec because that would be just enormous. And really, with the current settings, I've struck a balance between quality and file size. So I'm happy with this, but I wanted to experiment with a newer codec. So you can see over here, I have NVENC HEVIC instead of the X264. So you would either have, X264 or X265 HEVIC. In this case, it just says HEVIC, which is high efficiency video codec, but it's the same thing as 265. And from what I could figure, it wasn't just the fact that I selected HEVIC that was the issue with DaVinci. It was the fact that I was selecting 10-bit color. I think that was the real issue. So we did a little experimentation. Now, when you drag and drop a video into DaVinci Resolve, if your current project settings don't match the file you're dragging in, you're gonna see that. Get off my screen. Stupid window. The stupid little button here. I gotta get rid of that button. Anyway, on the bottom right corner, in fact, I gotta zoom out. I also gotta fix my Stream Deck buttons because that has been a pain in my ass as of a few weeks ago. But we're gonna manually shuffle the Stream Deck real quick. Okay, that'll be sufficient for now. So I want to show you the bottom right corner of the gear icon. And when you click on the gear icon or settings icon, we get this right over here, as you can see here. And I can zoom in on it, and we got 1080p, you know, for the timeline resolution. We're currently using square pixels, which I think is okay. But I did learn a bit about anamorphic resolution some time ago, and there are situations when I'm handling digital video cassettes, mini DV, high 8 cassettes, more like digital 8 cassettes, where you'll have these like resolutions where the pixels actually get stretched in order to make a square input fit on a rectangular display. It's kind of bizarre, but yeah, it has something to do with the standards of the past. 60 frames a second, because, you know, unless I'm definitely working on a video that is not 60 frames a second, I want my timeline to be set to 60 frames. And playback, which I guess is almost like a preview or playback frame rate as opposed to the actual timeline. But bottom line is that the settings up here affect the timeline. The settings on the bottom affect the video monitoring. So if I had an external display, a dedicated monitor or something like that, I guess, you know, this would affect that. It's currently set to 10-bit. Don't know if that matters. But, you know, bottom line is if your video that you're dragging and dropping does not match these settings, it'll tell you. You bring it into your bin, it'll be like, oh, would you like to change it? So if I do it, and I go back to settings, we're now going to see that it's not 60 frames a second, it's 59.94 frames a second. So if that's all it did, it changed the timeline. Chances are, if I told it not to change the timeline, it would fix it. It would, you know, do whatever it has to do to make the frame rate fit without any issue. But I have recently switched from 59.94 to 60 frames a second in my OBS settings because, I mean, like, why do people use 59.94 frames a second? It has something to do with the old TV standards. Basically, I think it was something like this. Back in the day, like 1930s or 40s, before color TV, it was 30 frames a second, or, you know, I guess 30 fields a second. In any case, actually 60 fields a second of 30 frames a second. Bottom line is you had to clean 30 frames a second. And then we needed to accommodate color TV. And so to make it possible for black and white TV to coexist with color TV, they decided to set a standard where you would have like 29.97 frames a second. And then the remaining, you know, part after that, you know, everything after the 0.97 would basically be there to accommodate the color TV signal. Kind of like a rough explanation there, but it does have something to do with the, you know, transition to color TV and the necessity to accommodate black and white TV. And so, of course, when you double the frame rate from 29.97 to, you know, something like 60, then we're talking about 59.98 frames a second. And, you know, it's considered standard. From what I understand, it's not really anything that matters when, you know, doing digital editing. But when you are producing something that you're going to send to a TV studio or something like that, they may demand that you provide 29.97 or 59.94. And then there's a lot of like 90s TV content that is around 23 point something, close to 24 frames a second. The same concept. That little decimal difference at the end is there to deal with this, to deal with that ability to accommodate the old black and white standard. Kind of like archaic, if you ask me. But okay, I mean, I'm surprised there's not some like real-time hardware-based encoding that can't rectify this in the long term. But then again, sometimes adding extra components to technology is a bit wasteful. So getting back to what I'm working on here, doesn't really matter. But if I was mixing 60 and 59.94 frames a second content here, I would keep it at 60. And if I decided that I want to change it to 60 later, I could not. So I'd have to make that decision up front. And so it might actually make sense for me to go out and press Control Z to, undo what I was just doing here. And that removes the item from the bin, and that undoes the change regarding the 60 frames a second. Now actually it's back, it's still 59.94, but now I could switch it back. Whereas if I was to drag and drop the same video and bring it into my timeline, in fact now it's not yelling at me. Why is it not yelling at me? Well, because I've already updated the frame rate. But let's say I go and I change it to 60 before importing the video to the timeline. Now it's warning me I can't undo that action. And if I put the video now, it's still going to be there. You're going to notice a little red flag over here. We're going to get into that in a moment. That'll be a lot of fun. We're going to go back to here. See, we can no longer change it. So basically, once you have a video in your bin or in your timeline and you change the frame rate, you can't change it again. But let's see how far we can go or not go. So once again, we have a blank timeline and a blank bin. Wait, does it? No blank bin. It won't let me undo anymore. Or maybe I got to hit Control Z more. Is that gray? Whoops. What I mean is the color gray up here. Yeah. Oh yeah, these are grayed out. So you can't click undo anymore. But can I change the setting? Yes, it'll let me change the setting. And so if I go here and I change it to 59.94, I save it, change it. It warned me that I can't change it, but I could change it because I did not drag and drop anything into the timeline yet. Now, since this video matches the current setting, it's not going to yell at me. It's not going to warn me that I need to change the frame rate. But if I click the gear icon, as you can see, I can no longer change it since it already warned me. But if I go back and undo, I could do that. In a nutshell, when you first import a video into DaVinci Resolve, it might warn you if it doesn't match your current project settings. If in doubt, we can close the project and just do like a real quick redo, undo. Now, looks like right now I have one file in here, but let's get rid of it. From the top. Hey, what up, Slim Min? It's good to see you. Slim Nim. Yeah, there we go. Slim Nim. It's good to see you, though. I can't stay because I have to go back to work. No doubt, man. I appreciate the like, man. And you have a great evening, and I hope your work, is uneventful and you get off work soon. That's cool. From the top, we got a video file in DaVinci Resolve. We got Disney Sheepherder in the chat, which this guy's a rock star mod right over here. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, in DaVinci Resolve, we have a brand new blank project, and we want to put a video in. So right now, before we put a video in, we should check our settings. Maybe we have a preference between 29, 30, 59.94, or 60 frames a second. I'm going to start with 60 because recently in my OBS settings, everything is 60 frames a second. Now everything is 60 frames a second. But when we save that setting, it's going to warn us. I clicked save and it warned me. It said, "Are you sure you want to change your project frame rate? You can't undo this action." It is true you cannot undo this action, but it's not entirely true until you add a video to your timeline. As you can see, I can still change the setting from 60 to whatever setting I want. I can press Control Z, which for Canadian people is Control Z, and I can click back on there and well, actually it did not undo the action, but instead of pressing undo, I can just manually change it and save it. But basically, if we go and select the setting that we want, Then we take a video that is not 60 frames a second, Godzilla versus Hedorah. It's going to ask me if I want to change the frame rate or whatever settings are different, and it's warning me that I cannot undo the action. So let's say, okay, change the settings. So now my timeline, which was 60 frames a second, is now 59.94 frames a second. The implications are that if I take a 60 frames a second video, and let me make sure this video is not sketchy. Yeah, it's just a regular video. If I take a regular video and I put it in like this now, it's not going to warn me again because I've already changed the frame rate. And I want to give a shout out to Eric Boyd. Good to see you, sir. And, you know, we got Slim Nim, Disney Sheepherder dropping in, dropping out. You know, they got things to do. I respect that. You know, people got to work. People got to mod other channels. You know, I appreciate just seeing, you know, familiar faces. And happy Friday to you too, Bird Nest. That's a cool name. I think I remember meeting your channel weeks ago or something like that. I think you left a funny comment once. But yeah, no, thank you and welcome. And I hope you're having a great Friday afternoon or evening as well. I guess it's now evening, right? Yeah, I think it's evening now. So getting back to this thing. The giant bear. I love that. We got a different file added to it. Now, is that file actually 60 frames a second? Let's see if we can find one, because we don't want to, you know, we want to mix them up on purpose now. 59.94. So in other words, the application has no complaint about the file I just put in there. Let's keep going. Okay, I got a new copy of a game called Crash Dive. That's a cool game. It's what I like about Crash Dive 2, which recently came out, at least I learned about the sequel recently, is that you get to control American, you know, fleet submarines now and other types of World War II diesel subs, whereas the first version of the game, from what I can figure, was focused on, you know, World War II U-boats, you know, German U-boats. And, you know, it's all fun and stuff, but, you know, people might question you. You're sitting down at a bar playing a video game on your laptop, and you're playing as the Germans during World War II, and they might be like, oh, what are you, some kind of Z? And it's like, no, man, I'm just playing a game, a historical game, you know? But now you get to control American fleet submarines. You get to sink Japanese ships, which, as a Japanese anime fan, I'm a bit conflicted, but, you know, it's all good, you know? It was a war that we all got over, basically, and now we're happy friends, so that's all good, right? Oh, yeah, so this was a digital video cassette capture application I was running some weeks ago. Still got to do a video on how to digitize VHS tapes the way that I discovered it. Yeah, I discovered a new way. Oh, and I noticed a little glitch just now in my video here. No doubt, Disney Sheepherder. You know, I just appreciate you being around. I sometimes do the same thing. Sometimes I'll double wield cell phones so that I can, you know, sort of like listen to two channels sometimes, or at least show some love, you know. But I know we can't all be in like 5 places at once. But yeah, so I know there's a little glitch in my video here. I gotta do a little adjustment. See this thing here? This little gray bar here? That's because of the way I capture the chat window. So that might have ruined a little bit of the video, but no big deal. And I really like that the chat window is automatically scrolling today. So I don't have to manually click on that crap again. Yay. Okay, so anyway, perfect example. I don't know what this extra decimal place is, but we got 60.0002400 frames a second. And also we got a weird buffer resolution. I don't know why there's like an extra 8 pixels there, but it's still 1080p. HEVIC, high efficiency video codec. Let's see what happens when we try to import this particular file into a timeline that's already been set up to be a different frame rate. We have a 60 frames a second 1080p HEVIC file here, and we want to mix it with Godzilla versus Hedorah. And when I do that, it doesn't yell at me. But remember, the Godzilla video is 59.94. This one here is 60 frames a second. And so if I, you know, bring it into my timeline, play it back, it plays. Luckily it plays, right? We got that little gray bar that's going to mess up the video, but no big deal. And it's doing what it's supposed to do. It usually takes an extra moment for the audio, you know, visualization or audio peaks to pop up. That's pretty normal there. There we go. So you can see one of the audio peaks loading up. We cannot change the frame rate anymore. But if we wanted to, we can do Control Z. And we're going to see that at Control Z, we still, well, we can change it already. So it lets us change it. So it might yell at us about the format or the frame rate of the video that you're putting into the bin, which is up here in the master bin. But it won't actually force the change until you bring a video into the timeline. Once you bring a video into the timeline, it will essentially lock in whatever settings. So that was 60 frames, 59.94, even though this video is, in fact, 60 frames a second. So even if the video is a different frame rate, once you set the setting using the settings icon here, regardless of what video you drag and drop, it will lock in the setting you put here. If, on the other hand, you start off on a blank slate and we take the, Godzilla versus Hedorah video again. Now, it's not going to warn me. It's not going to warn me because I already have the correct frame rate. If, on the other hand, I press Control Z, I switch it to 60 frames a second, and then I drag and drop the 59.94 frames a second video in one more time, it's going to ask me if I want to change it. It's going to warn me that I can't undo the change, but that's not true. Because once again, one last time, I'll say that it simply updates the frame rate when you click change, but that change does not get locked. You have one last opportunity to undo that change, and that is the point in time when you drag and drop the video. So whether you drag and drop this video, which isn't working, we're going to go into that in a moment, the setting is locked. If I press Control Z, and I say, you know what, I'm going to manually change it to 60. And then I drag and drop it, it's not going to change it back. It's going to remain at 60 now. So either way, whatever setting is asserted before you add a timeline item to the timeline will be locked in. And then lastly, if we, remove the video altogether, which I guess I could do by just deleting it, and we go back to my 60 frames a second video, which is right here. It's not going to warn me this time, but that's because I already have it set to 60 frames. If I press Control Z to remove the file, switch it to 59, final time, and then I drag and drop the 60 frames a second video, boom, it's going to ask me, do you want to change it? So if I hit change, now, I don't even know why I did that, because I already changed it, right? If I do Control Z, it's 60 right now, so I don't think it should be asking me, but, bottom line is, what I would do is, I would double check this setting before committing to anything, and once you know you have the setting you want, you're good to go. So, if I add the 60 frames a second video that matches all of the settings to the timeline, it's not going to yell at me. If I added the Hedorah video in the first place, it would ask me, but if it's the second video I add, it's not going to ask me. So if I undo everything, add Hedorah now it's going to ask me if I want to go back to 59 frames a second. Well, in this case, I don't. In this case, I could do one of two things. I can add the Hedorah video, hit don't change, and it'll lock it in at 60 frames a second. And alternatively, I could add the 60 frames a second video to this, and if I do that, I can misplace the video. Yeah, I literally lost the video. Where did it go? Did I delete it? That sucks. I might have deleted it. Hey, what's up, Indiana Jones? It's good to see you, my good friend. Yep, this is Indiana Jones, and in a few days' time, he might have a different channel name. So I would recommend subscribing to Indy and, joining us into the mystery to determine what video Indy will have. And I think I know what happened here. I think I pressed Control Z. Yep, I did. Okay, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not really that cool, but I'll explain what happened here. So earlier, I renamed a file in this folder. God, I hate having to control this manually. I renamed this file so I can identify 60 frames a second. Then, oh, I got something for you in a second. But if if I press Control Z, which I did by accident while highlighting the folder, you know, I meant to do Control Z in DaVinci, but instead I did Control Z here. When you do that, boom. Oh, it didn't do it now because it's making a fool of me. But earlier, I pressed Control Z, it removed the 60 frames a second that I added, and then pressing Control Y luckily allowed me to redo that. But no big deal. I don't need to undo it again. So anyway, where was I? 60 frames a second. 29 frames, 59.94 frames a second. The project is locked in at 60. It didn't ask me to change it. I'm fine with that because I want to add a 59.94 frames a second video to a 60 frames per second timeline. I'd rather do that as opposed to reducing the frame rate of this. You know, this is already a clean 60 frames a second. I have no reason to bring it down to 59.94. I think it makes more sense for me to add a few extra frames to the 59.94 item. Although it's like that saying about the eggs in a hat of choice. Now, next topic is, why is this red? We're going to get into that in just a moment. But real quick, let's see here. We got the Wild. So yeah, okay. So if you do Aquatic Adventures of August, I might be able to share some Sequest DSV content. And then again, last time I tried to like, I was doing a video encoding stream about my Sequest DSV Blu-ray box set, which was a good price, like $50 to get like all, was it all 3 seasons of this show. Season 3 was a little bit sketchy. But anyway, Sequest was a cool 90s submarine television show set in the future, set in the present future, ironically. But of course, things are more futuristic in the future, according to the 90s, than they are now. And yeah, like one day I was doing a stream where I was kind of re-encoding the video and sharing some clips, and I had it in like semi-full screen. You know, I had like, I had VLC opened, and apparently YouTube detected the video itself. Didn't even detect the audio, just detected the video and was like, we're gonna like, you know, temporarily shut off your stream while this kind of like, you know, plays through. And so at that point, like now I knew, okay, I gotta do something about that. When I'm playing scenes from certain TV shows, I have to like sometimes mask the audio or put something in front of the video, you know, put like little diagonal pattern or some like screen pattern over the video in order to, you know, thwart that, you know, copyright detection scheme. And once you do that, yeah, that's an option. But bottom line is like, you know, if you want like some short clips, Indiana Jones, like, you know, I don't know, of a submarine shooting a torpedo or some crap. If you go with the Aquatic Adventures of August, that might be an option. I also have the Yellow Submarine Blu-ray. I feel like that's like DVD actually, but I'm sure that's heavily copyrighted. And if you do Wild Wild West, that's cool too, because, you know, the West is kind of cool, and I need an excuse to get up on my Wild West movies, although I've been having a good time with Indiana Jones June and Indiana Jones July, you know, especially like when you do those streams where you read the comic book and you got the video game music playing. That is kind of cool, especially when I'm bored to tears at work, you know, just something I can enjoy quietly at work. And yeah, now I got my new phone, and, you know, I can go back to those streams and watch it on a larger screen, which is kind of cool. And of course, it is good to see our friend Last Call with Troy Pacelli. And it's good to see you. Thanks for dropping a like. Happy Friday to you, Troy. Happy Friday to Mrs. Netter. And, you know, all that jazz. I appreciate it. You guys had a cool stream last night, too. And yeah, if you guys want to check out Troy and Netta's Network did a stream yesterday with like a lot of cool people involved. And, you know, the only thing you'll be missing out on is the live chat, since, you know, you can't type in the past. Yeah, you know, a little strict. I can understand to some extent sometimes, but, you know, like one thing that gets me is when people get really upset about, what's that shit called? You know, fair use. Yeah, fair use gets me annoyed because, like, you know, people don't always read the rules for fair use. I think it's like if you actually read it, it says it's got to be like a certain, you can only use a certain percentage of a given piece of content or a certain amount of minutes, whichever is shorter. And so people, I think, are mixing up the percentage and thinking, oh, I can use 10% of this movie, or I can use, you know, this percentage of this music video or movie trailer. And then instead they're using the longer one instead of the shorter one. And so, you know, you got to read the actual rule for fair use and, you know, draw that distinction between the percentage limit and the minutes or time limit, and pick the one that is shorter or whatever the law says is the one that they allow. And you'll probably still get like struck for fair use sometimes, you know, but at least you can dispute it more easily if you know you're actually following the law. If you're following the law and you're quoting the law, you can actually quote the law, you know, like that might help. But even then, it could be an uphill battle, especially when you're talking to an automated chat bot or some crap like that, right? And then the other solution, like I said, is covering up the video with like a mesh, like literally like, I was thinking about something that I still never finished. Maybe I'll work on it tonight after I eat dinner. In Star Trek The Next Generation, we have the Argus array. And the Argus array is just this hexagonal sensor array. It's like a long-range subspace sensor array. And if we jump down here, you'll see like this other picture of it. Now, there are probably higher res pictures of it somewhere. And I think I did grab one, and I used one of them as like the basis of a generic pattern. Basically, my goal was to replicate the hexagonal pattern, but make it more transparent or give it more gaps or holes in it. And sort of like, you know, just like a hexagonal pattern that goes on top of a video, so that as the video is playing behind it, there's enough crap in front of the video itself to trick the sensors or whatever from identifying that this is material that shouldn't be played for at length. Because, you know, if the audio isn't causing the copyright claim or the copyright issue, the video is. And if you can deal with the video and the audio works without any issue, then you're a happy camper. I think it's more challenging to deal with the audio because, you know, if you want the audio to play and you have to mute it, well, that's not helpful. What you could do is maybe like add like a little beep to the video, or add some extra audio tracks that kind of fuzzy it up a little bit, maybe some music that doesn't belong but throws off the copyright audio detection. That might work. So these are some of the innovations that I think about but have not really implemented yet. But maybe one day I will. I've seen some people implement them with varying levels of success, especially that mesh pattern sitting in front of the video. So that's an option. I've seen people do Star Trek reviews where like they make it look like it's on an old CRT television, so you have that like reflection on the corner of the screen and you have like a little bit of a gradient, and sometimes that's enough, or at least it looks like it's enough because it shrinks the video. Maybe they add some horizontal lines to it to make it look like there are scan lines being added to the video, which are artificial but are designed like, or at least seem to have the effect of obfuscating the copyright detection. So there are tricks that we may be able to implement in the long run, but you know, some of it can be risky. And so in some cases, what I would do is like post a video that's unlisted, and or something that, and see if during upload if it detects any copyright content, and then maybe make it available, but see, you know, keep a close eye on it, see if it gets detected, and never delete a video that gets copyrighted. I learned this from a friend. Apparently, like, if your video gets copyright struck and you correct the issue and you make the video unlisted, you're better off. Or if you make it private at least. But if you delete the video in its entirety, you can tell YouTube, oh, I fixed the issue, I deleted the video. But they're like, oh, but we didn't see you fix the video, we only saw that you deleted the video. So that logic is illogical. It says, the illogical logic says, if the video wasn't fixed and it's no longer available for you to fix it, it wasn't fixed. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. But yeah, if a video gets struck, don't delete it, fix it, you know. And that's because of that annoying little you know, illogical policy, I guess. But yeah, at some point I have this right now. I started working on it at work, so I have it in Pixlr. Pixlr is a really cool it's like an online Photoshop. Let me see if I can open up the editor. I want to make sure I don't have anything weird on it. I don't think I have anything weird on it. Let's see here. So I'm not even logged into my regular account. Let me log in real quick. I usually tied it to my Google account, but I have two of them, so let's see if it's the correct one. And it is not the correct Google account. So I gotta log out again and log back in. And we're gonna pick a DJ Ronnie G instead of my name. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any of my stuff up here right now, but maybe I'm doing this wrong. But usually I go to Pixlr E and I can create a new image. I can open a new image. I don't know why I don't see it right now. It's not super important for me to see it, but I'd like to see it, you know. Let's try that one more time. So you got Pixlr X, which is like the user-friendly version, and Pixlr E. Pixlr E is like the big editor, and I don't know why I don't see any of my content here. It's probably based on cookies or some funny business like this. But bottom line is, this is like Photoshop in a web browser. Let me just log out one more time and log in. Okay, log out. Yeah, I thought everything was like stored in the cloud. Now, when using Pixlr, I always save the content. I always export it if I think it's important. I don't assume that it's going to magically be in the cloud because, you know, I may want to open it in Photoshop at home. But if we go into Pixlr E, we do create new image. We do you know, social media post or print media. It doesn't really matter in this case, but I did like one where like I advertised Action Man or Indiana Jones's content using like one of those, you know, social media posts on YouTube. You can give it a name, we'll call it test 1080 by 1080 resolution, and this is effectively Photoshop. I mean, you can take any image. You can take you know, whatever. Take, I don't even care. Like, I steal the UFO image because I'm tired of this UFO crap. Too much freaking hype, man. Look, I want to believe, but I'm not satisfied with these extraordinary claims and lack of evidence when it comes to UFOs. It's like, you know, I mean, UFOs are real because, hell, I mean, unidentified flying objects are a thing, right? But what I mean is, are they of extraterrestrial origin? Well, I've heard some really out there explanations. I've heard some less than out there explanations. For example, there's this guy from Florida on YouTube, and he thinks that the UFOs are actually a second species of sentient beings from our planet who live under Antarctica. But then, you know, that's kind of a bit out there too. It's kind of more believable than, you know, superluminal travel, at least at this stage. But I just think people making too many assumptions. But anyway, getting back to this here, as you will see here, we have layers. So when I, you know, bring a layer in, what that means in Photoshop is that when you click on the little eyeball, this layer, oh, that's weird. So, okay, one problem I have with Pixlr is when you hide a layer like you would do in Photoshop, it disappears. I don't know why. I would like it to behave like Photoshop. I think I've seen it behave like Photoshop before, but it does misbehave a little bit like that. So that's like the only issue I have with Pixlr that I've been having to cope with. Because like hiding a layer effectively deletes the layer. Whereas in Photoshop, I'm accustomed to being able to toggle them on and off at will. So that's like the only thing that's worth noting that's a negative right now. But in general, if you have all your layers available, you can put them in front of or behind each other like I'm doing right there. And that is a basic tenet of what makes Photoshop useful because, you know, in Photoshop, when you have layers, you might put some text on the screen and say, okay, let's just put some text here for stuff. And then I click on what the... Okay, whatever. It made it ginormous. That's okay. We're going to make it smaller. So then we can drag and drop it. And you can see now the text is in front of the Star Trek console. And if, let's say, I was like really OCD about like making something look like it belongs on a screen, I could probably rotate it or hit one of the other buttons. Like this one here, I think rotates it. Yep. See, we just pick the arrow button. And then we can like either look for a matching font or emulate that font to the best of our ability. I think, whoops, I got to go back into text mode. And then we got to pick a different font. And then we can go back here and try to like, you know, line it up again. And then we can try to pick a more congruent font if one exists. And maybe we can even do like an LCARS font. We can download the LCARS font. I don't know if it's compatible with Pixlr. I feel like there's a generic font that matches this that doesn't require you to download an actual LCARS font. Like, I'm sure, okay, Helvetica, maybe, let's see, I'll try Helvetica because I don't really want to go into the weeds on this right now, but Helvetica is a pretty standard font and it's not listed over here. So, yeah, can I even add a font? Oh yeah, we could add local fonts. Okay, so I guess I got to go to my fonts folder in Windows, right? And in the fonts folder, you would normally drag and drop a font to add a font to Windows. How do we get a font out of Windows. Well, let's see here. If we do Helvetica, apparently I don't have it at all anyway. If I really, I didn't even know you could go to the Microsoft Store for fonts, but if it's easy and functional, I'll try it. I'm gonna order me some KFC real quick. Yeah, we're gonna do KFC. I love me some KFC there. You know, it's really cheap too. Like, I feel like I should buy more stuff at KFC just out of principle, but you know, maybe I'll add the coleslaw because I don't know if the coleslaw I have in my fridge is good right now. And coleslaw is good for your gut flora, you know? So, I mean, might as well get some kind of proper vegetable in there or whatever you call coleslaw. So anyway, I'm gonna try that again. There's a guy in the Hyperion Cantos named Major Gregorius, and he is a member of the Corps Helvetica. And I'm going to do an express delivery with DoorDash because I like wasting $3. Now, actually, you know what? We're going to do a not express delivery because I don't want to waste $3. And it's great. They'll even like leave it at your door so that you don't have to, you know, you don't have to like talk to the person delivering it. Hey Google. Oh my God, I almost typed $560 instead of $5.60. Yeah, I'm just rounding up the tip so the guy gets a little more money. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not paying $3.99 for a font, and I don't know what the hell Hermetica is, but I will find a free font on the interwebs. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have a font folder somewhere on my server. I think I can actually do like let's see here, wrong terminal. I'm gonna open up a connection to my SSH connection. We'll even create a new, and we'll do and we'll do let's see here, //name, and I'm assuming the fonts are like in the TTF format, but I'm guessing here. Otherwise, we can go to a site like fontfreak.com, and you'll see here that they have stuff. Apparently, they got like different versions of fonts that are not all what we're accustomed to. You got your commercial fonts and you got your free fonts. So it's like, this is not looking very pretty. And I'm not paying 40 bucks for a font. I'll sooner learn how to make a font than pay $40 for my fonts. But usually, like when I've needed an exotic font or a particular font, I've been able to find what I'm looking for on this site, and I don't trust pressing the close button on internet advertisements. Let's see here. Maybe we do like... It never occurred to me that Helvetica would be like a commercial font. Like, I'm pretty sure if I install Microsoft Office, it comes with fonts. I mean, like, I haven't installed a version of Office in a while. Also, this site doesn't let me type, so I don't know if that's just a internet glitch, website glitch, or if it's a me problem. But I can't say a site like that is very useful if I can't interact with it. We got some Nipponese fonts right over here. Helvetic crap. I will be doing a late stream tonight because I woke up streamfully late. So after I eat, I'm gonna take a bike ride, and I will be doing another stream. So you know what I mean, if you got things to do, do your thing, because I will be back. I will be returning. Just like General MacArthur, was that the guy? I don't know, one of them guys. He said, I will return, or some stuff like that. You know, World War II. Read some really good books about submarines during World War II, by the way. Those were fun. Yeah, I got 11 likes on a comment. Yeah, I got 11 likes on a comment because I was commenting on the Suspicious Observer. This guy, now, it's kind of just jumping off the rails here, but, you know, I ordered dinner. I'm a little sidetracked. Where do I begin? You know what? Okay, let's focus. We're going to focus at the topic at hand. So we now know that Helvetica is apparently not a free font, but I mean, I'm sure we can find it somewhere, or I can install a copy of Microsoft Word. It probably comes with it anyway. But yeah, apparently it's like a commercial font. So yeah, take that as you will. You can still get a lot of good free fonts from sites like fontfreak.com, non-commercial fonts. So it's still an option. If you want to add fonts, you can download them, use them in your, own computer on your own software. A lot of times when you add fonts to your Windows font folder, which I usually do by going into the Windows Start menu, and I don't go to the Windows Store because apparently they sell fonts for like $5 on there. I go to the Start menu and I type the word font into the Start menu, and when I do that, you can see how it shows me font settings. So if I click enter, it opens up font settings right here on the right side. And you will see here that once you download a font, you simply drag and drop it into this box here, and it adds it to Windows. If you erase the search bar here, which I filled in earlier, you can see all of the fonts you currently have installed, and you can search for a font. So I know I don't have Helvetica at the moment because I typed in part of the word and it didn't come up. So adding fonts is really straightforward. They usually end up in your downloads folder or a zip file. You drag and drop them into this box in the font settings, and you're good to go. And we can get them for free on Font Freak, apparently on this site too, and probably other sites if you Google it. But you will stumble into a lot of commercial fonts. And then from there, if you're using something like this site here, Pixlr E, which is like almost like Photoshop. It's like a cloud-based Photoshop web thing. And it's good to see you, man. Thank you for dropping in, Disney Street Proto. I'll see you tomorrow night at Snowdub's live stream. And for anybody who's watching still, yeah, I do highly recommend you check out Snowdub tomorrow night, Saturday night, I think at 10 o'clock. Disney Street Proto is a fellow mod on that channel, a long-standing mod on that channel, and the channel's a good time. So, if you love puppets and you love puppets that are actually funny and not trying to perpetuate, stuff that is evil, yeah, I do recommend checking out Snowdub. And once again, thanks for dropping by, Disney Street Proto. And lastly, if you're still here, I take requests. So if you ever have a request for a topic, I like having an excuse to cover a topic that is useful to a friend, and that might be useful to the wider, internet community. So yeah, keep that in mind if anything ever comes to mind that you want to learn, and I can share it with people on the interwebs. And with that, thanks for dropping by, Disney Street Proto. And I do want to greet Ro. Can you believe your husband did not reply to my message? No, I'm messing around. I got KFC on the way. I sent one message. I was telling William that I woke up shamefully late. Like, I woke up, I won't even say what time I woke up out loud on the internet because people would think I'm a total bum. Like, I'm going back to a normal schedule next week. Next week, I'm going to start my work week, right? Get up at 7 a.m., 5 a.m. for work. And then I'm going to, try to keep on that schedule, at least something akin to it, because I want to go ride my bike in the morning, yo. I want to ride my bike in the morning. It's beautiful in the morning. I mean, tonight I'm going to ride my bike at nighttime, but I do want to ride my bike in the morning for sure. Like last time I went to your house, Ro, I left at 2, 3 a.m. and then I rode my bike for an hour. I literally intentionally got lost by, Westerly and that whole neighborhood and all of that stuff. And so, basically I was having a good leisurely bike ride because it really cools down properly at nighttime, and it's just beautiful. And yeah, bro, I do also recommend you check out Snowdub. But that's cool, man. If you guys do anything later, let me know. I was gonna invite William over, but I started cleaning the den, and then I realized that I didn't want to finish today. Although the den is pretty clean. Like, you know, I think he can come over next week if he wants, because you know, I cleaned up pretty decently, like to the point where it's like I don't have that much shit in the way anymore. Really, what I got to do is clean my desk to make it, you know, more usable. Right now I have like my VHS tapes piled on my desk and my other desk. But that's easy enough. I can do that. Media shower. There's a media shower. People always tell me about media showers. You know what, Roisin? You know what? Let's take a look at the weather real quick. We're going to check 2 weather things. We're going to check out the microphysics. Let's see. Goes East microphysics. Good. I got it. Yeah, I'm not aware of media shower, but sometimes I don't really keep myself in the loop because my dad cut the Ethernet cable to the camera that monitors the remote telescope. So I got to rerun that wire. So I can't even check the telescope right now and check if it's raining. Not really a big deal. I could sort that out. I could put a splitter switch up there. And let's see here. Right now, here's the problem. So we can see this like color map right here. And if we scroll down and we go to the New York, greater New York area, we got a visible cloud right over Staten Island. So that's not looking good right over there. Let's play it in a loop. That's going to load the map. In the meantime, we'll take a closer look at the island of Staten, named after the bastard son of some guy from Britain, I think, or Dutch land. So anyway, not Deutschland, Dutchland. So anyway, yeah, so that's my island, and we are under this cloud cover, apparently. You have less cloud cover than I do, apparently, but I'm in, like, this little corner of excess cloud cover. If we go back to here, this will show us a loop. It's better than the stupid Aurora Borealis. Let me tell you, I hate when people go, oh, you know, Ron, there's going to be an Aurora Borealis next week in New York. And it's like, yeah, if you're upstate New York, I'm sure you'll be able to see an Aurora Borealis. But, you know, Northern Lights don't really show from here. So they're using Zulu time. Hey, Google, what time is it in Zulu time? Okay, 1:47 a.m. Okay, good. 1:36. So this is as of 10 minutes ago. So we go back 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, well, whatever it is. I think it's actually an hour, a few hours. But bottom line is that we can see here that this looked kind of good because I saw like some sunlight before and I was thinking maybe I could use my telescope tonight. Now actually, oh, I shouldn't say I can't use my telescope. I just remembered something, bro. I got a new lens for my secondary camera. So I have a wide field camera now that has like a wide angle lens on it. So I might be able to put that camera under like a plastic bag in case it rains. And with the ultra wide field camera now, I can actually scan the sky for meteor showers. Whereas with the telescope, you can look at a narrow portion of the sky, and usually you want a narrow field of view because that's like getting more zoom. But when you're using the, you know, when you're looking for meteor showers, sometimes you actually want, like, instead of looking at a part of the sky this big, you want a patch of sky this big or this big. And especially when it's like a wide meteor shower where you have streaking objects like in different parts of the sky, having that wide angle lens is a good idea. So yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that and touch base with you guys if you're doing anything, and if it's not too late by the time I touch base. But I can understand if you guys are, you know, you went swimming, you're tired, you know, kids, and swimming can be tiring sometimes, you know. So that's all good too. You know, I should probably be catching up on editing, but I can catch up on editing anywhere I go, as long as I actually sit down and pay attention to my screen a little bit. So, you know, let me know, or at least I'll touch base later and see what's good. Getting back to the topic of fonts. So I went on my Linux box, my little server, my little noisy server, and I did a search for star TTF, asterisk TTF, true type font. And apparently we got a lot of fonts here. So they're from all kinds of apps. Apparently I have fonts from the original Xbox games. So I have backups of my original Xbox games. Cool. Thank you, Ro. Appreciate it. I do appreciate it. So yeah, I got backups of original Xbox games, and some of that applications for the original Xbox as well, because yeah, we had apps. Remember Kodi? Kodi wasn't always an app you run on the PC. Kodi wasn't always something you put on your Fire Stick. Kodi was actually XBMC, Xbox Media Center, with a very rich history. I should do a video about it one day because I love that app. Okay, that app was so cool. Okay, it was like the original Roku TV. It was the original MB. It was the OG everything. Like, you would just put movies on your original Xbox and they would play on your TV. And then you would take movies and put them on your hard drive on your network and stream them to the Xbox over the network. And now you can play like unlimited movies. Whatever you could fit on your computer would play on the Xbox. You were no longer constrained to the hard drive on the OG Xbox. And then Blu-ray quality content came out and it stopped working properly. And that was okay. That was like the hardware was already showing its age. Back then I was using the Xbox to play things on a standard def TV. So I mean, you know, once you go to high def, things get a little more challenging, especially when dealing with more, you know, advanced video codecs. But yeah, I thought that was a good time. So yeah, apparently the apps on the OG Xbox, amongst other things, amongst many other things, apparently there's some fonts that came with the Linux installation that are here too, or perhaps these are associated with a virtual machine or a Linux container. Yeah, a Linux container. So I have Linux containers that probably have duplicate fonts across them. But you know, I'm gonna let this search run. And whoops, I misspelled that. You know, we'll let that run. It's not like the CPU is breaking a sweat right now. We got like how many CPU cores on that computer? How many threads? Yeah, we got 32 threads across 16 CPU cores on that server right now. But getting back on topic. Yeah, it's not looking pretty for the astronomical, you know, anything astronomical today. Maybe if we check weather for my zip code, and then we look, okay, that's not looking pretty. So it looks like if I go out, if I even go out tonight, I better bring my raincoat. That's number one, because, you know, this says rain. Now, the Weather Channel is all right, but it's not always completely accurate. AccuWeather, you know, I don't swear by any one thing, but AccuWeather has been pretty good to me. And times where like the Weather Channel said it wasn't gonna rain, I would go here and double check, and it would say it's probably gonna rain, buddy. And I'd say, you know what, I'm gonna take their word for it. And if I only listened to the weather, you know, channel, sometimes it would start drizzling on my telescope. Sometimes I'd be away from home while it starts drizzling. Sometimes it would pour. And I've gotten lucky. I've been able to run outside when the rain starts opening up and the skies really start pouring buckets on my telescope. I would jump out of this desk, hop across my bed, hop out the door, try to put on my shoes and, you know, poncho real quick. Sometimes no time for a poncho. And I'd run out there with a plastic bag. So damage control, it's like you put a bag over your telescope. Then you try to wipe it down under the bag. Then you try to put the proper cover on the telescope in place of that bag. Maybe you wait for the rain to slow down or something, but yeah, that's the thing. So, I mean, I'm gonna do a visual inspection of the sky, but right now it looks like we go from like 14%, which isn't that bad, to a 40% chance of rain. And what worries me is not so much picture of the clouds, although mostly cloudy is a sign that it's not good for astronomy. It's the lightning bolt picture. You know, even though it's still only 40%, that's an increase in the probability of lightning. And if we scroll on down one last time, we click on tomorrow. We got like the chances of rain drop. So, I mean, partly cloudy, it might be worth the risk. Partly clear, it might be worth the risk. I may check and recheck the weather before leaving my house if I go out tonight. And if I go on a simple bike ride, I'm not too worried. I'm more worried about having like my $5,000 telescope getting rained upon. And if like, let's say I take a risk between like 1 and 3 a.m., then when I get home, I would definitely cover up the telescope, because 51%, especially if I'm going to bed around 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., is a really high chance of rain. Sadly, tomorrow night, the chances of rain look like they drop. I don't know. I mean, like, it's like hit or miss, you know. 50% is a little bit of risky territory when it comes to, like, you know, having a telescope exposed to the elements of rain. Last time I had a clear night was like on a work night, and I was too tired on that work night. It was a Sunday night. I didn't sleep the night before, which I had work already. So I was like, I'm not going to even touch the telescope. But, you know, if I get a good night's sleep, even on a work night, I would totally do it. I would go out, uncover the telescope, try to rig it for automation, and then call it a day. But now, even if there weren't any visible clouds like the ones we're seeing here right now on the, you know, visible satellite loop, we have to look at this here. These are the, they have a fancy name, day-night cloud micro combo RGB. And then up here also says night microphysics, which sounds way cooler. Night microphysics RGB is now combined with day cloud phase RGB to make day night cloud micro combo RGB. So basically, nighttime microphysics, I think it's looking at like moisture particles and ice particles at high altitude. There will be nights where the visible imagery looks clean. It looks clear. It doesn't look like it's cloudy. It doesn't look too hazy at all. Then you'll jump over to this and you'll see what looks like a river. I remember at one point there's a hurricane and there was like a river of red stuff, like going up, like literally looked like a river kind of streaming up. And I was on the edge of that river, and basically that was enough to give me bad seeing conditions. So even though there was no visible cloud whatsoever, there was like a bunch of, you know, high altitude particles, whether they were ice crystals or moisture, didn't really matter. Wildfire smoke, which, I mean, yeah, we can also look at the wildfire smoke thing. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, I don't know. I have a link to it bookmarked somewhere, but I meant to add it to my main thing. I think I have it at work. I have it in my bookmarks at work, which doesn't really help me right now. Yeah, that doesn't really help me right now, but I will have to you know, set that aside, because it makes sense to have like the ability to check the weather, to check the visible cloud picture, to check the microphysics, and to be able to check the, you know, wildfire forecast to see where the smoke presently is and where it's expected to travel, to get like a, you know, multifaceted view of what is up with the clouds. But anyway, we're gonna close Pixlr. We're all using the middle button on the mouse. My food is almost here. Oh yeah, it's almost here. So I'm gonna end this stream, and if I do another stream later, you know, or tomorrow, we'll make sure it's you know, cool. But what I didn't touch upon was one last thing. The last thing I didn't really touch upon was, why does it say media offline in DaVinci Resolve? Like, what is going on there? And basically, I added a video that is of a unsupported format, or no, it's not. I guess, okay, there's a glitch at the beginning of this video, then it works. But before, I had a serious problem with DaVinci where like videos in 10-bit color, 60 frames a second were not working. And basically, I tried downloading a codec independently and installing it, and I might have fixed the issue, but I have to do some experimentation to really explore that. And it was mainly an issue when I was doing like Hogwarts Legacy, because that was one of the first games I switched to 60 frames a second. And so if we do like another, like, if we do like a hog test, and we go through the videos now, I have two video sets here. I have, whoops, I didn't show my screen. It's good to see you, Whooper Trooper. Thank you for dropping, and it'll be dropping out very soon. Might do another stream later, and if not later, definitely tomorrow. So we got these X265s, and these are ones that I re-encoded in order to make them smaller, because when I play Hogwarts Legacy on my TV, I play it through Steam Remote Play, and I record my desktop computer screen to get the best possible recording I can get. And so when I run it through a video encoder, what I'm able to do is maintain the quality and reduce the file size. Because of course, if you can, you know, have the same quality for an existing recording while cutting the file size in half, you could delete the original file, and now you're using half the space that you were using before. So, you know, that's worth it. Even though it means the computer runs really hot and uses up a lot of electricity, it It helps a lot to have that. So this video was 59.94 frames a second. And if we drag and drop it here, we can see it looks like it works. Then we'll grab one more video. We're going to do, you know, just see that plays back. It doesn't give me any error messages. And we're going to do one more video. We want to look for like something of higher fidelity if I could find it. Don't think I'm going to find it right now. I should probably line up the videos ahead of time before doing this. This is from my Pictures by Tolkien video, which I've already uploaded if you want to check that out. What I'm looking for is yeah, I'm not going to find it right now. I'll have to explore this later on. But anyway, dinner's up. I better go. Thank you for dropping in, Whoopi Trooper. And for everybody else, thanks to Troy Pacelli for dropping in. And, you know, check out his channel. Thanks to Disney Street Herder for dropping in. Cool dude, too. I think he's a couple of recent uploads, too. But like I said, he's a mod on Snowdub channel. Thanks to, you know, Indiana Jones for dropping in. Can't wait to see, you know, his new, you know, monthly channel update coming up within the next few days. That is always something I always look forward to. And, of course, shout out to Eric Boyd. Shout out to Troy Pacelli. Shout out to Bird Nest. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for dropping in. And we are going to conclude this stream today. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall end transmission. Oh, I gotta hit stop. And we're gonna end this stream on my mark.